The first thing I remember was the dust rising all around me as the wagon wheels ground against the hard prairie road. My heart beat so loud it drowned out the creak of the wooden boards beneath me. The sun was high, merciless, painting the world in a haze of gold and heat. I clutched my bonnet in my lap and tried to steady my hands, though they trembled. I was leaving behind everything I had ever known. The town where I'd grown up, the graves of my parents, even the small shop I once dreamed of running. In its place, I was headed toward an unknown man on the far edge of the frontier, an arrangement born more of necessity than love. He had written only 2 letters, both short, practical, and without flourish. His words were simple, almost cold: I seek a wife. I can offer a roof, food, and safety. Life here is hard, but honest. There had been whispers when I agreed to go. He probably just wants someone plain to cook and mend, one of the women in town had said. A rough man like that doesn't care much for beauty or softness. I'd kept my silence, but those words followed me on every mile of that long trail. When the wagon finally rolled into the settlement, I spotted him at once. He stood taller than the rest, broad-shouldered, his shirt stained with dust and sweat, a wide-brimmed hat shadowing his eyes. He looked carved from the very land itself, rugged, weathered, unyielding. His gaze, when it fell upon me, was not the softened look of a man greeting his bride. No, it was sharp, almost startled, as if I were something unexpected, even unwanted. I stepped down from the wagon, my dress brushing against my boots, my hair falling loose despite all my care. His jaw tightened, and I realized he had been expecting someone else. Someone plainer, perhaps. Someone less of a reminder of desires he had long buried. I'm James Callahan, he said at last, his voice low, gravelly, carrying the weight of years lived with little comfort. I'm Clara, I answered softly, my throat dry from the journey, though my heart thundered with something I couldn't name. He tipped his hat, but there was no smile, no warmth in that gesture. Only a flicker of unease in his eyes, quickly hidden. The cabin he took me to sat on the edge of open land, the prairie stretching wide and endless around it. Inside, it smelled of pinewood and smoke, simple but sturdy. A table, 2 chairs, a bed against the wall. He showed me where to set my things, then excused himself to tend to the horses. I was left standing there, a stranger in what was meant to be my home. That first night, we sat across from one another at the table, the lamplight throwing shadows across his face. He asked about my journey, and I spoke of the river crossings, the endless plains, the fear that the wheels would break. He listened but said little, his eyes darting away whenever they met mine too long. It was as though he feared something would unravel in him if he looked at me fully. I should have felt unwanted, perhaps even ashamed. But instead, I felt an odd stirring because behind that guarded silence, I sensed a man wrestling with something greater than indifference. Days turned into weeks. He worked from dawn till dusk, cutting wood, tending cattle, repairing fences. His strength was something to behold, every swing of the axe echoing with determination. I tried to help where I could, mending shirts, baking bread, planting a small garden by the cabin. Each evening, when he came in weary and sweat-soaked, I found myself waiting for the sound of his boots on the porch, the scrape of the door opening. And slowly, little cracks appeared in his armor. One night, a storm rolled over the prairie, fierce and wild. The wind howled through the cracks in the walls, and the rain beat against the roof like a drum. When lightning split the sky, I startled, clutching my shawl. He noticed. Without a word, he moved closer, his presence steadying me more than any blanket could. "You're safe here," he said, his voice gentler than I had ever heard. Our eyes met then, and for the first time, he didn't look away. His gaze burned with something raw, something he had tried so hard to bury. After that night, things began to change. He showed me how to ride one of the younger horses, running alongside until I found my balance. I laughed aloud, the wind tangling my hair, and when I glanced back, I caught a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Not wide, not easy but real. Still, I could feel the battle inside him. He kept his distance, as though afraid that giving in to whatever stirred between us would weaken him. But the more he held back, the more I longed to know the man behind that wall of restraint. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, I found him sitting on the porch, staring out at the endless fields. I sat beside him, the boards creaking beneath our weight. For a long time, we said nothing. Then, in a voice rough with confession, he spoke. "I never expected someone like you," he said. "I thought, if I took a wife, it would be a simple thing. No danger in it. No longing. Just someone to share the work, to keep the loneliness away." But his hand tightened around his knee.